We are live in the Caribbean Village in Sankofa Square, where people are getting ready for Carnival weekend in the city.
And the August-long weekend, it's here. We're going to take a look at what else is happening in the city, including Taste of India and Veld.
And a man in his 40s is in critical condition after a stabbing near Queen and Peter downtown. A 38-year-old man is in custody.
And we'll have local reaction to Donald Trump raising tariffs on Canada from 25% to 35%.
You're watching Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Lena Latafat. Thanks so much for joining us and welcome to Live at 5. It is one of the biggest summer events in the city, the Toronto Caribbean Carnival Grand Parade. That is tomorrow.
And CP24's Beatrice Vaisman is in Carnival Village in Sankofa Square. This is where Caribbean culture is being celebrated. Beatrice.
Bakari, Lena, the tunes of soca are really just reverberating across the downtown core already ahead of tomorrow's big parade. We're live in Sankofa Square, the Carnival Village, happening now until 7 o'clock tonight. People are feeling the tunes. They're enjoying the flavors here as well. All kinds of Caribbean cuisine, Caribbean ice cream flavors like rum and raisin and dragon stout. A lot of artisans here. People can buy things from various vendors. And of course, there's performers that continuously keep taking the stage with a DJ playing in between. I've chatted with a whole bunch of people actually who are visiting Toronto from the United States specifically, and here's what I heard from them about why they're here in town taking in the Caribbean culture.
We're going to go spend time at the parade. You know, last year when we came, you know, it was really vibrant and a lot of people. So we like the fact that it was a lot of people, and so we're looking forward to doing the same thing. We brought our daughter, so, you know, she's going to experience it as well. You know, and then in general, we just love the city.
Eating good food, having a good time, and just enjoying friends. That's it, yeah. Trying to get to know new people.
She wanted to get into the actual Carnival parade itself, but she tried to find a team. We couldn't find a team fast enough, so we just came in, figured we'd join in with the festivities, enjoy ourselves with the Torontons, and have a great time.
It's going to be a lot of butt shaking, masquerade, a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun. You talk about this being one of the biggest events of the summer. It's actually one of the biggest events of the entire year. Up to 1 million people come to the city of Toronto for the carnival, for parade. People from all over the world. Again, I met people today from Atlanta, from North Carolina, from all over the U.S., Washington, who come here because of how diverse, how accepting, how the city of Toronto celebrates Caribbean culture. So 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. tomorrow, the parade all kicks off on exhibition grounds going west towards Lakeshore. It's always a lot of fun. And of course, we'll have live coverage right here on CP24 as well. Back to you guys.
All right, Beatrice, thanks so much. Enjoy the party, and we will talk very soon. Well, the junior king and queen of the Caribbean Carnival, they stopped by CP24 today.
Yeah, they both won the title before they talked about their costumes.
I was really excited. My costume is Dame Lorraine. She has and a really nice body.
I would try to look back and reflect on my past actions, and I always come bigger and better with better costumes each year. Not saying the ones that before weren't good, but the ones coming up are even better.
Well, police provided an update today on how they plan to keep the crowd safe this long weekend. Toronto police say they're going to be out in full force to ensure that Carnival weekend festivities can take place safely. And police say they're going to focus on crowd and traffic management, but they're also going to have an increased presence to respond to any incidents that may occur.
There's no credible threat to this event, but we're always diligent to make sure that we are aware of that potential. We plan for that. We will work with the organizers to make sure that the response is appropriate. But I want to emphasize, the hope that everybody will respect the great festival that this is, and allow it to happen peacefully and safely for those that are involved.
Now, several road closures will be in effect for the Grand Parade that drivers are going to have to keep in mind.
Yeah, starting at midnight, Lakeshore Boulevard West is going to be shut down from Fort York to Colburn Lodge Drive. Shawn Avenue, that's going to be closed southbound from Fleet Street. The Princess Gate will also be closed to vehicle traffic starting at 1 a.m.
And some Gardner Expressway ramps, they're going to close at midnight as well. They include the westbound on-ramp and eastbound off-ramp at Jameson, as well as the eastbound on-ramp from Jameson and Lakeshore at British Columbia Road. The westbound off-ramp at Dunn Avenue, that's going to be shut down as well.
Well, the annual Taste of India, it starts tomorrow at Nathan Phillips Square. Here's a live look right now. This is the 8th edition of the festival, running Saturday and Sunday, featuring the food, sights, and sounds of India. More than 1,000 artists are going to be on hand for the weekend, including Bollywood bands and some surprise celebrity appearances.
And the Toronto Food Truck Festival is being held at Woodbine Park. It's getting underway this hour, and it's open every day of the long weekend at noon. There will be more than 20 food trucks on site, and there will be something for everybody to munch on, including vegetarian, halal, and gluten-free options. There will also be live performances, so you can enjoy a meal while listening to some music.
Well, Veld Music Festival is back at Downsview Park this weekend.
Canada's biggest electronic music festival kicked off this afternoon, and this runs until Sunday. This year's lineup features some of the biggest names in EDM and house music, including Deadmau5, Tiesto, and Loud Luxury. Festival organizers say there are also upgrades like bigger LED screens, shaded areas, and more subwoofers and new laser shows.
Well, no serious injuries after a stolen SUV crashed into a pair of traffic poles on the westbound Lakeshore.
Yeah, the driver hit a pole at Remembrance Drive before slamming into another one at Stadium Road just before 2:30 a.m. Police say a 27-year-old woman driving the car was arrested, and they are still looking for the passenger. This is a live look of the scene tonight. Lakeshore was closed from Bathurst to Fort York for the cleanup and investigation for most of the day, but it did reopen around 4:30.
Okay, along with that, it's now 5:06. Let's get a check on the commute around the GTA with CP24's traffic specialist, Adjoa Nsiaya-Boa.
Well, you're really not moving, so I wouldn't call it commuting. You're just basically standing still in traffic. It's because we have so many problems that are happening as you try to navigate these very slow roads. So we'll start north of the city. This is the 400 northbound as you head through Langstaff. It is the left lane and shoulder that is blocked following a collision. That delay does extend all the way back to the 401. 401 also very slow because of a new number of problems. We'll start with issues, pretty big ones. Eastbound 401, this is Indy Express. On the approach to the DVP 404, it is the three left lanes, right lanes actually blocked to the collision. It's only the left lane, and that is getting by. And as you do make your way through, again, very slow from before Dixie. A little bit of good news, long-standing problems on the westbound 401 in the Express at Victoria Park. Collision was in the two left lanes. It cleared. Still watching issues further west on the 401 in the collectors right through Weston Road. Find those two left lanes still occupied, and it remains busy on the Gardner. As you try to get out of the downtown core, actually starting to improve. We did have a problem on the westbound Gardner at Park Lawn. It did have the right lane blocked. That situation cleared outside of camera view. Eastbound on the 401, just as you make your way through Thixon, crews on scene of a collision that is tying up the left lane. I'll send it back to you both.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
It's 5:08, 25 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Coming up, a teenage girl has been sentenced in the swarming death of a homeless Toronto man. We'll tell you more on the other side of this break. Welcome back. A man's been critically injured in an early morning stabbing downtown.
Emergency crews were called to the Queen and Peter area around 3:45 this morning. A man in his 40s had been stabbed and rushed to hospital. Now, while his injuries are critical, he is believed to be in stable condition. So police say a 38-year-old suspect has been taken into custody and an edged weapon was recovered.
There was an altercation between the two prior to the stabbing, so I wouldn't say it was unprovoked. There was some sort of altercation between the two. It wasn't just unprovoked out of the blue.
He was a good friend of mine. We were just sitting in front of the shelter, and there was a robbery going on, and one guy was getting robbed, and me and my girlfriend and the other gentleman that got stabbed, we went after the guy, and the guy just all of a sudden turned around and just stabbed him.
Anybody with information about what happened is asked to contact police.
Well, a teenage girl has been sentenced to 16 months probation and a year of support and supervision for her part in the swarming death of a homeless man in 2022.
That girl was 14 years old when she and 7 other teens attacked 59-year-old Kenneth Lee in a downtown Parkette. Lee later died in hospital. The teen had originally been charged with second-degree murder, but the judge instead found her guilty of manslaughter.
Well, a former Markham youth coach faces new sex charges, and police are concerned that there may be other victims.
58-year-old Garth Morris was charged in June after an alleged victim claimed to have been assaulted over a 4-year span ending in 2021. Since that original appeal, other alleged victims have come forward when Morris was a coach in Toronto. Some of the allegations go back over 30 years. Morris was known to have coached tennis, volleyball, and basketball.
And Peel police are looking for your help in trying to track down the person behind a shooting in Brampton on July 15th. So police say that someone fired a shot after attempting to break into a home in the Longmeadow Road and Prince Edward Boulevard area. The suspect made their getaway in a 2022 Honda Passport Trail Sport with an Ontario license plate. They are to be considered armed and dangerous.
5:12, 25 degrees. This is Live at 5.
And coming up, the latest developments in the trade war and local reaction to Donald Trump raising tariffs on Canada. U.S. President Donald Trump is escalating his trade war with Canada.
The U.S. president signed the executive order yesterday, raising our tariff rate from 25 to 35%. The White House saying yesterday that Canada failed to do more in the fight against drug trafficking at the border.
Well, Prime Minister Mark Carney released a statement which reads in part, quote, "The United States has justified its most recent trade action on the basis of the cross-border flow of fentanyl, despite the fact that Canada accounts for only 1% of U.S. fentanyl imports and has been working intensively to further reduce these volumes. While we will continue to negotiate with the United States in our trading relationship, the Canadian government is laser focused on what we can control, building Canada strong." Now, the federal government, provinces and territories are working together to cut down trade barriers.
Let's bring in CP24's Lindsay Biscaya, who's following local reaction to the latest developments in the trade war and how it's going to impact GTA residents. We're hearing from a number of mayors, Lindsay, who are calling for more self-reliance.
Yeah, that's kind of the sentiment that sounds to be coming from mayors as well as other politicians at various levels around the country. But a lot of them calling for, as you say, self-reliance, calling for Canada to now diversify its trade market as well, looking toward Europe and the UK maybe. But there's a lot of concern also from a lot of people today. We've been speaking with Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown, who was talking earlier about the fact that the reason Donald Trump says these tariffs need to come into place is because there's allegedly too much fentanyl still crossing the border from Canada to the U.S. And we heard Mayor Patrick Brown say that he works on the police board as well, and that's just not true. He can see it from that level. But we also heard from Mayor Brown talking about jobs within the GTA and within Brampton as well. He says he's incredibly concerned for the people of Brampton because obviously what we've been seeing with these tariffs and especially increase in tariffs is job losses, is lack of production. And that's something that Mayor Patrick Brown says he's incredibly concerned about. Take a listen.
I look at our local plant where we have 3,000 jobs that were supposed to be reopening this year. It's not reopening, and there's no date for the reopening if it will reopen. And so I'm very nervous about our automotive jobs. But I'd also say there's a supply chain that supports these auto plants, and we have just as many jobs in that supply chain.
We also heard from Mississauga Mayor Carolyn Parrish. She was actually last night, Lena and Bakari, when this news broke. She was one of the first local mayors, to really start speaking out, sending out statements, talking about how Canada needs to kind of batten down its hatches and stay strong. But also she was another one calling for Canada to diversify its market, saying the provinces and territories also need to rely on each other now. And CP24 did speak with Mayor Parrish today. Here's what she had to say.
We had a roundtable with a lot of our big manufacturers here in Mississauga, and they are very nervous and they want us to go ahead with caution. But hard to be cautious when somebody says fentanyl is causing all this, when there's 1% fentanyl that's going from Canada to the States and no numbers on what's coming in this way. Fentanyl is a horrible thing, and to use it as an excuse to put on tariffs is really low ball.
So for the most part, we are hearing that Canada really needs to diversify its trade market. But anyone within that industry really knows that Canada cannot abandon the U.S. completely, right? We rely on each other so heavily. We are each other's greatest allies. And we have a lot of trade going back and forth even between Canada, the U.S. and Mexico. So a lot of business groups also, Lena and Bakari, urging Canada and the U.S. to get back to the negotiating table, to come to some kind of agreement, maybe even get those tariffs lowered to other rates that we've seen, for example, with the U.K., a 15% tariff, just something. But at this point, there's no word yet on whether talks will resume. We know that Minister Dominic LeBlanc, who was in Washington the last couple of weeks, has flown back to Canada, although we can confirm that many other members of that negotiating team remain in Washington, despite the fact that at this point, we're not hearing of any talks continuing. Back to you.
Yeah, and of course, the hope is that both sides can get back to the table and hammer out a deal. Lindsay Biscaya reporting live from our newsroom. Lindsay, thanks so much. It's 5:19, 25 degrees. You're watching Live at 5.
And coming up, we'll take a look at new movie releases this weekend. Well, today marks Emancipation Day, the day when Canada abolished slavery, clearing the path for many to make the trek up from the U.S. to their new homes in Canada.
Ken Johnston is marking the day with a 265-kilometer walk that started in Niagara Falls and it's going to end in Owen Sound. The Philadelphia man spoke with CP24 today from the Gregg County Rail Trail.
Today marks the 14th day of our journey. We're walking to the Grey Roots Museum here in Owen Sound. And then tomorrow we'll have a 3-kilometer community walk from Grey Roots Museum into the 163rd Emancipation Festival in Harrison Park in Owen Sound.
And tell us about the significance of this walk and why this is something that's so important for you to complete.
It's a walk that I started back in 2019. So it's taken me about 5.5 years to complete this journey from the Eastern Shore of Maryland to Harlem, New York, to Niagara Falls, St. Catherine. And what I'm doing is just threading the story of the Underground Railroad all the way from the Mid-Atlantic states to Canada. There's no Black Heritage Trail markers across this area, but there is a connection, and I'm trying to make that connection all the way through.
Well, Johnson started his walk 2 weeks ago in Niagara Falls, New York.
What a remarkable journey. Well, today also kicked off the observation of Emancipation Month with a ceremony at City Hall.
Yeah, the event was highlighted by a flag-raising ceremony. It was on this day the Slavery Abolition Act came into effect. That marked the beginning of emancipation for hundreds of thousands of enslaved Africans and their descendants, and some of whom made their way here to Canada. And the Honorary Consul of Haiti in Toronto reiterated the importance of the day.
Our ancestors have traveled the long and winding road of battles against the brutality, humiliations, dehumanization of the colonial system. Our generation still has a very long way to go to bring the legacy closer to the ultimate goal of dignity, equality, and human rights.
Emancipation Day has been marked here in the city since 1991 and Emancipation Month since 2019.
Well, the weekend, it's pretty much here, which means it's a great time to catch a movie. So let's take a look at some of the new films hitting screens this weekend with film critic Richard Krause.
Of the elite.
Hi, Daddy. It's me, Frank Jr. Love you.
Hey, Dad. Boy, do I miss you.
Lots opening up at the movies, starting with a return to the Naked Gun franchise with Liam Neeson playing police squad detective Frank Drebin Jr., son of the bumbling cop made famous by Leslie Nielsen. Neeson stars with Pamela Anderson, and that unlikely duo works, according to film critic Richard Krause, who's giving this film 4 stars.
Because Liam Neeson hasn't made a lot of comedies, there's just a handful of them over the last 30 or 40 years that he's been making movies, we're used to seeing him in serious dramas. And so he brings that kind of gravitas, but he embraces the absurdity, just like Leslie Nielsen did. This is a very funny movie. If you don't like a joke, hang around because it's so densely packed with jokes. There'll be another one in 3 or 4 seconds anyway, so you'll probably miss some of this stuff because you'll be laughing so much.
Not everyone believes it, but the bad guys went good. And we cannot wait for society to welcome us with open arms.
Okay, next up is this movie, The Bad Guys, based on the children's book series of the same name. Now, this is an animated flick featuring the voices of Sam Rockwell, Mark Maron, and Awkwafina. Krause gives this movie 3.5 stars.
I think something's happening to us.
There?
Listen to me.
And finally, we have Togetherness, the darkly funny story of a couple whose attachment issues are solved by a situation beyond their control. Tom and Millie, real-life couple, Dave Franco and Allison Brie, investigate themes of love, codependency, attachment, and commitment. Kress is giving this one 3.5 stars.
Well, Chappell Roan's highly anticipated new single, The Subway, it dropped today, and it has a line that has Saskatchewan buzzing.
Okay, local connections. TV's Jacob Carr has the story.
I'm moving to Saskatchewan.
Regina's own Captive Media shot that teaser clip featuring Chappell Roan's lyric about moving to Saskatchewan. It's from her new song, The Subway, which officially drops at 6 p.m. on Thursday with a music video to follow on Friday morning. Roan's representatives reached out to the agency about filming some Saskatchewan-based iPhone footage to help promote the single.
We took it back to the team and we're like, we need to do more with this and give them the best that we possibly can. So yeah, it was pretty exciting and the whole team was really revved up about it.
Including David Senthavong, a recent hire at Captive.
It's something you don't really come across of it like that often, especially with such a well-renowned artist around the world saying Saskatchewan in her song and obviously saying it correctly, which is great.
The lyric also has others itching for Roan to come to the prairies. The NDP's Nathaniel Teed even penning a letter to her team.
We really just thought this was such a great moment to bring someone with such an international scope to Saskatchewan. She says she wants to move here. We'll help her buy the house. We'll show her around. We'll show her what Saskatchewan folks are made of.
Tourism Saskatchewan is also capitalizing on the moment, pairing up local landmarks with some of the pop star's songs.
Just in the last few days, we've had over 230 new mentions in the social media world and, almost 40,000 new social interactions. So that's a lot of people thinking about Saskatchewan, a place they may never have heard of before, Googling what's a Saskatchewan.
In a 2024 Nardwar interview, Roan mentioned that she owes it to the people of Saskatchewan to play a show in the province. Time will tell if the Midwest princess from Missouri will make a stop in the land of living skies. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
I love that shout out. Fun fact about me, I started my journalism career in Saskatchewan. I lived in Saskatoon. It's known as the Paris of the Prairie, so I endorse that message. Great province.
Nice.
It's 5:28, 25 degrees. You're watching Live at 5.
Well, the August-long weekend is pretty much here. We're going to take a look at what's happening this weekend, including the Toronto Caribbean Carnival Grand Parade. We are live in the Caribbean Village in Sankofa Square. This is where people are getting ready for Carnival weekend in the city.
It is the August-long weekend, and we're going to take a look at what else is happening in the city, including Taste of India and Veld.
And a man in his 40s is in critical condition. This is following a stabbing near Queen and Peter downtown. A 38-year-old man's in custody.
And we have local reaction to Donald Trump raising tariffs on Canada from 25 to 35%.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lena Latifat.
I'm Bakari Savage. One man's under arrest. This is following a stabbing downtown, which sent another man to hospital in critical condition.
For the very latest on this investigation, let's go live to CTV Toronto's Allison Hurst in the Queen and Peter Street area. Allison, what's the latest?
Police have cleared the scene earlier this afternoon, but they say the investigation is still ongoing. Now, the latest update we have on the victim, a man in his 40s, is that he is now in stable but critical condition. This was downgraded from last night after the incident when police said that he had life-threatening injuries. Now, what officers are saying that may have happened at about 3:45 this morning. There was some sort of an altercation between the victim and the suspect right before the incident happened. We did also speak with a witness, a man who was there and saw what was going on. Here's a little bit of what he had to say.
He was a good friend of mine. We were just sitting in front of the shelter, and there was a robbery going on, and one guy was getting robbed. And me and my girlfriend and the other gentleman that got stabbed, we went after the guy, and the guy just all of a sudden turned around and just stabbed him.
Police have told us that they don't believe that the victim or the suspect knew each other, and they're still appealing for witnesses, of course. And they did arrest a 38-year-old man nearby last night at the same time. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Back to you in studio.
Now, Allison, also, I know you mentioned that police have also cleared the scene. This is a busy area. We just saw a lot of people walking behind you. I mean, just give us a sense of what it feels like right now. Like nothing even happened. Everything's back to normal.
Sort of has that feel. This is the Friday before a long weekend, so there are lots of people kind of going about their day. When the scene was here earlier, there were lots of people trying to get around. Of course, this is a very busy intersection here at Peter on Queen Street. Lots of people, lots of shops, so people out and about. Not the same, though, at 3:45 in the morning. We spoke with a man who worked the overnight shift at a store nearby. He said police came in asking for footage, but what he was telling us was that during weekdays, overnight, it's really quiet, a little eerie. He says he keeps the door locked on his store and opens it just, for individuals when they request to come in. But during the day, of course, it's a lively, busy area, and certainly now that the scene is cleared, things have returned to normal. I will also tell you, though, that there are a lot of security cameras around here. Pretty much every single building in the area has that, so no doubt police have a ton of footage that they will be going through as they continue this investigation.
All right, Allison Hurst reporting live tonight. Allison, thanks so much. A teenage girl has been sentenced to 16 months probation and a year of support and supervision for her part in the swarming death of a homeless man in 2022.
Yeah, the girl was 14 years old when she and 7 other teenagers attacked 59-year-old Kenneth Lee in a downtown Parquet. Lee later died in hospital. The teen had originally been charged with second-degree murder, but the judge instead found her guilty of manslaughter.
A former Markham youth coach faces new sex charges, and police are concerned there may be other alleged victims.
Yeah, 58-year-old Garth Morris was charged in June. This is after an alleged victim claimed to have been assaulted over a 4-year span ending in 2021. Well, since that original appeal, other alleged victims have come forward when Morris was a coach in Toronto. Now, some of those allegations, they go back over 30 years. Morris was known to have coached tennis, volleyball, and basketball.
Peel police, they're looking for your help in trying to track down the person behind a shooting in Brampton. Back on the 15th of July, police say someone fired a shot after attempting to break into a home in the Long Meadow Road and Prince Edward Boulevard area. The suspect made their getaway in a 2022 Honda Passport Trail Sport with an Ontario license plate. They are considered armed and dangerous.
Well, no serious injuries after a stolen SUV crashed into a pair of traffic poles on the westbound Lakeshore. So the driver hit a pole at Remembrance Drive before slamming into another one at Stadium Road. This was just before 2:30 in the morning. Police say that a 27-year-old woman driving the car was arrested. They're still looking for the passenger. Here's a live look at that area right now. So Lakeshore was closed from Bathurst to Fort York for the cleanup and, investigation, which lasted most of the day, but it reopened right around 4:30.
All right, 5:36, 25 degrees. Let's stay on the roads and get a check on that long weekend drive with Adjoa and Sia Yeboah. Do we even didn't want this update, Adjoa.
I don't know if you want the update. It is horrible. It's a lot of other words that I can't say on camera. But what I will tell you is it's a very slow drive, and there's a lot of problems. And if you're trying to get around problems on the westbound Gardiner, it's going to be kind of difficult. Lakeshore is very slow, and the Gardiner barely moving because of problems happening on the westbound Gardiner, Lena. This is just as you make your way past Park Lawn. It is a collision. Toronto Transportation found it for me. I was looking for it. It is in that left lane, so very slow, already through that construction spot. Headed up on the 401. Also, we're dealing with a stalled vehicle. This is the eastbound 401 in the collectors through Weston. This cube van does have that center lane block. From this point, the delays continue all the way out to approaching the DVP 404. We're in the express. Still have those 3 right lanes blocked with this collision. Only that single left lane continues to squeeze by. But things aren't all bad. Things are getting better on the northbound 400, starting to thin out. We were dealing with problems on the northbound lanes of the 400 through Langstaff. Was a collision. It did have the left lane blocked. The problems there did all clear. On city streets, just a heads up. Crews on scene of a collision blocking lanes on Yonge and Steeles. I'll send it back to you both.
Right now it's 5:37, 25 degrees. This is Live at 5.
It's the August long weekend, and we're going to take a look at what is happening this weekend, including the Toronto Caribbean Carnival Grand Parade. We're going to have extensive coverage of this all weekend long. Welcome back. It is one of the biggest summer events in the city, the Toronto Caribbean Carnival Grand Parade. That is tomorrow.
Yeah, CP24's Beatrice Baseman joins us live right now. She's in Carnival Village in Sankofa Square. This is where Caribbean culture is being celebrated. Beatrice, I don't see you with any food, no meat patties or anything.
You know what? I love meat patties. I don't see any here in Carnival Village because I can assure you if there was some around here, they'd be in my belly right now, Bakari. But all eyes are on the stage as some of the performers, are here on rotation entertaining a small crowd that's been kind of ebbing and flowing here at Sankofa Square, but the sounds of soca music certainly reverberating through the downtown core, a lot of Pond River, and people here are coming in from all over the world. In fact, this is one of the marquee events that draws up to 1 million people. I met a lot of Americans today who are here to enjoy the Caribbean culture, the food, the diversity of Toronto. Here's what I heard.
The people are amazing. And the dancing. So I danced for like a month afterwards in my head.
Yeah, the vibes were good.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's wonderful. I mean, a lot of diversity, the energy, good stuff. I love it.
The big parade falls on my birthday tomorrow. Yeah, so I wanted to come celebrate.
We just wanted to come out, have family fun, and see what the Caribbean culture was like in Canada.
And what's the first impression so far?
So far, so good. We'll come back.
Yeah, I met Americans from Washington, from Atlanta, from New York, from North Carolina, all of them coming on this side of the 51st parallel to enjoy everything the city has to offer. Some of them have been here before, choosing to come back with more family members this time. For many, it is their first time experiencing everything that Toronto has to offer, that the Caribbean Festival has to offer as well. Of course, tomorrow is the big parade. Festivities kick off at 8 a.m. and it goes until 8 p.m. tomorrow. The parade route starts at Exhibition Grounds, going westbound along Lakeshore. I spoke earlier with a woman who's involved with the youth committee for Toronto Caribbean Carnival. Here's what she told me about how the kids got involved and inspired this year.
For us, it's a really big opportunity because we know we're the next generation. So just being able to have an opportunity to have any leadership in this parade has been so phenomenal to do, and just kind of see and share with our families like what we're doing and just be a part of all the festivities as well.
It'll be all part of the color, the soca music again, the masqueraders who are going to be taking the streets of Toronto, enjoying everything that the Caribbean Carnival brings along with it. One of the biggest events here in our city of the entire year, guys. And Bakari, I know you'll be there for all the action as well. What are you wearing?
Oh, yeah, you bet. You know what, B, you're just going to have to come down and find out. I'm not telling you right now.
That means Bakari.
Are you borrowing Mayor Olivia Chow's outfit from last year?
Okay, CP24's Beatrice Baseman reporting live from Sankofa Square. Thank you so much.
I'm going to take that as a no comment from Bakari Savage. All right, looking forward to that, though, Bakari. Well, the junior king and queen of the Caribbean Carnival stopped by CP24 today, and they both won the title before and spoke about their costumes. Maybe some inspiration for you, Bakari.
I was really excited. My costume is Dame Lorraine. She has and a really nice body.
I would try to look back and reflect on my past actions, and I always come bigger and better with better costumes each year. Not saying the ones that before weren't good, but the ones coming up are even better.
Also, police provided an
Anytime you're in public space where there's a lot of people, you got to be mindful of where you're around. Make sure that, if you have children with you, that you keep them in sight, and your personal belongings. Just use some common sense strategies to make sure that you don't lose your phone. Don't have it hanging out of your pocket. Put it somewhere where it's safe, and just be mindful of where you are and who's around you.
Yeah, okay, so that was police providing an update on how they plan to keep the crowd safe this long weekend.
Yeah, Toronto police saying that they're going to be out in full force to ensure that Carnival weekend festivities can take place safely. And police also saying they're really going to focus on crowd and traffic management. But of course, officers are going to be around in the event of any incidents.
Well, several road closures are going to be in effect for the Grand Parade that drivers need to keep in mind.
Yeah, starting at midnight, Lakeshore Boulevard West will be shut down from Fort York to Colburn Lodge Drive. Strawn Avenue will be closed southbound from Fleet Street. The Princess Gates will also be closed to vehicle traffic starting at 1 a.m.
Well, some Garden Expressway ramps are also going to close at midnight. They include the westbound on-ramp and eastbound off-ramp at Jameson, as well as the eastbound on-ramp from Jameson and Lakeshore at British Columbia Road. The westbound off-ramp at Dunn Avenue, that's going to be shut down, too.
Lots going on this long weekend. Veld Music Festival is back at Downsview Park.
Yeah, Canada's biggest electronic music festival kicked off this afternoon. It runs until Sunday. So this year's lineup features some of the biggest names in EDM and house music, including Deadmau5, Tiesto, and Loud Luxury. Festival organizers say that there are also upgrades like bigger LED screens, shaded areas, more subwoofers, and new laser shows.
And the annual Taste of India starts tomorrow at Nathan Phillips Square. This is a live shot before that party gets started. It is the 8th edition of the festival, running Saturday and Sunday, featuring the food and sights and sounds of India. More than 1,000 artists are going to be on hand for the weekend, including Bollywood bands and some surprise celebrity appearances.
Okay, so there's also the Toronto Food Truck Festival. That's being held at Woodbine Park. It's getting underway this hour. It's open every day of the long weekend at noon. There's also going to be more than 20 food trucks on site, along with something for everyone. We're talking about vegetarian, halal, and gluten-free options. There, you're also going to have live performances so that you can enjoy a meal while listening to music.
It's now 5:46, 25 degrees, and you're watching Live at 5.
Well, coming up, the latest developments in the trade war and local reaction to Donald Trump raising tariffs on Canada. U.S. President Donald Trump is escalating his trade war with Canada.
The U.S. president signed the executive order yesterday, raising the tariff rate from 25 to 35%. The White House saying yesterday that Canada had failed to do more in the fight against drug trafficking at the border.
Well, Prime Minister Mark Carney released a statement which reads in part, quote, "The United States has justified its most recent trade action on the basis of the cross-border flow of fentanyl, despite the fact that Canada accounts for only 1% of fentanyl imports and has been working intensively to further reduce these volumes. While we will continue to negotiate with the United States on our trading relationship, the Canadian government is laser focused on what we can control, building Canada strong." Now, the federal government, provinces and territories are working together to cut down trade barriers.
And let's bring in CP24's Lindsay Biscaya, who's following local reaction to the latest developments in this never-ending trade war. And Lindsay, Doug Ford, we should talk about him because he's calling for retaliation.
Yeah, and Doug Ford has been calling for retaliation for some time. Lena and Bakari, he's been asking the federal government to retaliate with counter tariffs of their own, particularly for the steel and aluminum sector. And we know that Mississauga Mayor Carolyn Parrish echoing that, talking about how Canada really should retaliate with counter tariffs. On the other side of that, though, the flip side, we've heard members of the Prime Minister's negotiating team in particular, Dominic LeBlanc, for example, talking about how they want to be really careful when it comes to counter tariffs, because, of course, what that would mean is that the Canadian people are paying more in the end for goods. So there is a bit of back and forth there in terms of how the best approach, what the best approach would look like and what would be best for Canadians. But that is certainly certainly something that Mississauga Mayor Carolyn Parrish is echoing. She says she wants to see retaliation for this 35% tariff that's been inflicted on Canada now. She's also urging the Prime Minister to continue breaking down barriers between provinces and territories. We heard her talking quite in strong words last night when she issued a statement online talking about how Canada really needs to stand strong now and really needs to rely on itself and on its closest trading partners also overseas. Here's more from Mayor Carolyn Parrish.
We did a roundtable with some of our key companies here, and when we did it a couple of months ago, they said, let's not overreact. Let's try to, calm the waters. At 35%, the waters are too rough to calm as far as I'm concerned. I agree with what Premier Ford's doing, and I hope Prime Minister Carney comes back punting.
Obviously, this is such a major escalation, Lena and Bakari, that many local mayors also incredibly concerned about jobs. We also heard from Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown today talking about the Stellantis plant in Brampton that employs 3,000 people. It paused production when all this tariff talk first started because of the uncertainty. And now there's no word on when that pause may be lifted. And Mayor Patrick Brown spoke to us this morning talking about that, how concerned he is for thousands of jobs in Brampton, in the GTA. It's employs so many people, and there's really so much uncertainty now when it comes to whether people will be able to go back to work. But he also talked to us about the reasoning that the president gave for increasing the tariffs and not coming to a deal, which is that U.S. President Donald Trump says that Canada hasn't done enough to stop the flow of fentanyl crossing the border. And Mayor Patrick Brown had some thoughts on that. Take a listen to what he had to say.
So we understand the vast majority of Americans don't agree with these tariffs, but we have an unpredictable U.S. president right now that is causing havoc to our economy. And I would just add, I know he's saying that we're not doing enough when it comes to drug trafficking, but I also sit on the Peel Police Services Board. I have a good insights into the criminal issues we have in the GTA, and I can tell you 99.9% of the drugs that come into our country come through our U.S. border.
So we know uncertainty, definitely not good for business, Lena and Bakari. And again, so many jobs hanging in the balance here. There's no word on whether what's going to happen next, but we can be sure that when this 35% tariff really does kick in, we'll start to see the effects of that very soon. So obviously business groups as well urging the federal government to really get back to the negotiating table and try to come up with some agreement that is maybe better than 35% tariffs. Back to you.
Joining us live from the newsroom, CP24's Lindsay Biscay. Lindsay, thank you. It's 5:53, 25 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Well, today is Emancipation Day. We are going to take a look at how it is being marked in Toronto next. Welcome back. Today marks Emancipation Day, a day and month that's being marked all over the city and country. It's also a day when Canada abolished slavery, clearing the path for many to make the trek up from the U.S. to their new homes in Canada.
Ken Johnson is marking the day with a 265-kilometer walk that started in Niagara Falls. It's going to end in Owen Sound. The Philadelphia man spoke to CP24 today from the Gregg County Rail Trail.
Today marks the 14th day of our journey. We're walking to the Grey Roots Museum here in Owen Sound. And then tomorrow we'll have a 3-kilometer community walk from Grey Roots Museum into the 163rd Emancipation Festival in Harrison Park in Owen Sound.
And tell us about the significance of this walk and why this is something that's so important for you to complete.
It's a walk that I started back in 2019. So it's taken me about 5.5 years to complete this journey from the Eastern Shore of Maryland to Harlem, New York, to Niagara Falls, St. Catherine. And what I'm doing is just threading the story of the Underground Railroad all the way from the Mid-Atlantic states to Canada. There's no Black Heritage Trail markers across this area, but there is a connection, and I'm trying to make that connection all the way through.
This is so remarkable. Johnston started his walk 2 weeks ago in Niagara Falls, New York, and again, it all ends in Owen Sound.
Well, today also kicked off the observation of Emancipation Month with a ceremony at City Hall. The event was highlighted by a flag-raising ceremony. It was on this day the Slavery Abolition Act came into effect and marked the beginning of emancipation for hundreds of thousands of enslaved Africans and their descendants, some of whom made their way here to Canada.
And Toronto's deputy mayor told the gathering how the city played an important role in those seeking freedoms.
Toronto became a destination for thousands of freedom seekers before the American Civil War, and one of the city's most prominent politicians, William Peyton Hubbard, the first politician of African descent elected to office in Canada, was acting mayor and served in public office for 15 years.
Emancipation Day has been marked here in the city since 1991. Emancipation Month since 2019.
And those conversations have to continue. Of course, it's 5:59, 25 degrees. You're watching Toronto's breaking news, CP24. Hey, thanks for joining us here on Live at 5.
We leave you with the live look of Nathan Phillips Square. This is where they're getting ready for Taste of India. There's a lot to do in the city this long weekend, including the Toronto Caravan Carnival Grand Parade. Thank you for watching. CTV News at 6 is next.